Hello, fans. I'm here with Coach Sara Lilly, head coach of the Texas Women's Synchronized Swimming Team. Coach Lilly, how are you doing in this time of quarantine?
I'm doing okay. I'm just staying in my house with my daughter and my husband, and we're just kind of taking it day by day and enjoying cooking from home and a lot of quality time.
Absolutely. Well, obviously, your background prior to coming to Texas Women's, you spent some time in competition both at Stanford University, but also on the United States Olympic team, competing in Athens in 2004. One of the big subjects that's going on right now is the discussion of whether or not to postpone the Olympic Games. And, Coach, having been in that position as a competitor, you know just as well as anybody what it takes to prepare. The time frame that the athletes are going to need to get ready for that level of competition. What are your thoughts on, how much time they would need to give these athletes to prepare in order to make an informed decision?
Right. I think every sport is a little bit different. I think all sports need a lot of time. This would be the time of the year that some sports are gearing up to train for their qualifier. They haven't qualified for the Olympic yet, or the Olympics, or they haven't named a team. Other teams have already had their trials event for the Olympics and they have their team set and they're just training. I think, because everybody's different, everybody probably has a little bit of a different perspective. In regards to synchronized swimming, the team had just started their competitive season. So the 2020 team just competed in their first event in Paris and did fantastic. So they were really looking forward to ramping up this year, attending a number of other events in the World Series, and then going to the qualifier. So I think for them, it's a little bit difficult because the momentum that they were thinking they would build is cut off now. So I think for synchronized swimming, I would say we're past the point of being able to take time off and then ramp back up for the Olympics. You really need a good solid 2 or 3 years, which is how long these athletes have been together, to train and meld together as a team to be able to be competitive. These athletes, I think it was 2017, they started training together. So, and I was coaching that team at that time before I moved to Dallas. So these athletes have been together and really working hard since then, which frankly is a little bit behind other countries who have had their teams together for whole quads. Teams will stay together for 4 to 8 years to prepare for the Olympics. So looking at it from that perspective, thinking now you would not be in the water, you can't get in the water, facilities are closed, and then trying to think, well, if I got back in the water in May or June at this point, or even later when it's safe, I don't think that would be enough time. You're trying to, fine tune the details at this point, not work on getting athletes back into shape, just overall shape, which you can do as much as you can on your own to try to stay in shape out of the water, but then getting back in and having to coordinate 8 people, getting them all on the same level as far as their endurance and their fitness. And then after, establishing that baseline, then trying to fine tune all the details and work on each count in the routine and each transition, each lift. That's a lot. I think it's almost impossible.
From the standpoint of synchronized swimming, like you said, this is a multi-year process that leads to being competition ready. One of the discussions that we're hearing is possibly pushing it back a year. Is that even enough if you have this prolonged pause in the middle of that training to get everybody back on the same page?
I think it's more feasible, but I think it's still difficult. You have a whole periodization plan, which Andrea Fuentes is the head coach of the senior team at this point, and she's great. And so I'm sure she's got a fantastic plan that she's put in place and has been following. And I think to have a break like this and then have to restart it is really difficult. I think she could do it, and I think she would be great at it. I just think that, like I said, trying to build that momentum and get those athletes into a certain headspace, a certain physical space, I think that's just asking a lot. Now, that being said, I think that it would be a better option from the standpoint of these athletes have trained for this for so many years that to see them not be able to compete is heartbreaking. I know when I was training, it was something that I dreamt of from the time I was a little girl. And so, those last few months leading up to the Olympics, training was really difficult. And not every day was my favorite, but you have this end goal in mind, and that's what you're thinking about throughout all the hard times. So I can't imagine having that dream just taken away from me. My heart just breaks for these athletes.
We've seen some news out of Australia that Australian athletes may have to miss it if they're held as planned simply because of travel restrictions. And we've seen Olympiads in the past where nations as a whole have sat them out. But in this situation, a pandemic situation, as an athlete, would that to you make it seem a little bit less if countries were just having to sit it out because of said travel restrictions?
Yeah, I think the Olympics, you want that to be the best. You want that to be the best competition. And that's kind of the goal that you look toward. And so I think if you have countries that just aren't able to go because of travel restrictions, it doesn't seem like maybe it's your, very top competition. That being said, I think, I wouldn't want countries to be going if they're concerned. And I think there is a hesitation. I don't know how I would feel as an athlete. I think if someone asked me to travel right now, I don't know that I would want to do that. Even in the upcoming months, we've been talking about maybe not traveling to certain things that we had planned to go to. The Olympics is a very big deal, but in the grand scheme of things, your health is the most important. So
Absolutely.
I don't know what I would do at this point.
Well, Coach, it seems like there are a lot more questions than answers across the board, not just in the world of sports, but everywhere. But Coach, thank you for taking a few minutes this morning to join us, and stay safe.
Yeah, thank you. You too.